Good morning, Commissioners and Judge Wolf. This morning is the last chance to address an issue that has been framed incorrectly and based on inaccurate data and a false metric on a scope never seen before. Day-to-day life, the conduct of county and business relations have been disrupted, creating a loss of jobs, a drop in productivity, and even a diminished ability to govern and deliver essential services at the high levels achieved prior to this disaster. Add to these conditions the dumpster fire your staff created with a recommendation to defund the constable law enforcement by 50%. This was the stated reason was for saving money to offset the $10 to $15 million in lower revenues connected by Bexar County in taxes. And the only recommendation staff could come up was a reduction in constable law enforcement. Not a single occupied position outside of law enforcement was offered up to offset this financial crisis, and no one else was told their jobs were to be eliminated. This dumpster fire continues to affect the daily lives of these officers. Who will be fired? Will there be more firings in the future based on this false data? Yet they still perform their duties faithfully. It also affects the daily lives of the over 15,000 people who, until this action was proposed, were on the sidelines of county government and now keenly await your solution. Staff is not elected, nor paid to make the big decisions or to provide leadership. Staff will not pay the price for a bad or a half-baked decision. You will individually and as a body be held responsible, as is each constable. The community should have the final voice in this area, and they will be heard. What percentage of failed services is acceptable to you, Commissioners? 25%, 50%, 10% fewer AG papers not being served, and children going without child support and medical care? The same percentage of criminal law violators not caught by constable law enforcement as they patrol and serve deep inside of every community in Bexar County? What percentage of crimes not deterred by our absence from the streets is acceptable to you, the decision makers? The Texas legislature allowed the Bexar County to ignore the property tax cap after a declared emergency disaster and for 2 years following the disaster. That's what the legislature provided you, the decision makers, as a tool for doing your jobs. Why is Bexar County taking advantage of that time period in increasing tax collections? Because Bexar County itself can't be sure when this disaster will end or how long its financial effects will be felt. That's the reason why. Constable law enforcement should have that same grace period. We still pay most all our costs, and in years past, a surplus was the rule. Don't just take my words for constable effectiveness. Each of the constables have given you facts that contradict your staff's information. So who should you believe? I would suggest that you look at your own words and actions for the answer. Commissioner Calvert echoed the value of constables in Precinct 4 in a sentiment that is heard throughout Bexar County. He also affirmed that finances are not the consideration, as Bexar County has $10 million more tax dollars than last year and over $200 million in reserves, plus surpluses embedded in the budget in almost every category. Commissioner Calvert also said it was not a matter for this year, perhaps in the years following. I agree. Commissioner Justin Rodriguez must have felt similar misgivings on the defunding as he proposed the lesser defunding yesterday. Commissioner Wolf, my commissioner, related that this body must establish a valid metric for funding constables in the future. And you have had testimony that the metric provided for deputy sheriffs serving civil process is 545 papers per officer per year, and yet your staff puts the constable metric at 2,315 papers per officer per year, a number that was proven false over 4 years ago and is still cited by your staff as the metric used to evaluate constable effectiveness and recommend cuts. If the metric was fair, each constable would be getting additional staff, not a proposed cut of any percentage. Commissioner Rodriguez, Chico Rodriguez, has law enforcement experience in his past, and we have spoken on many occasions, and he has supported law enforcement officers in the past years. We look forward to your next efforts in community service, sir. All of you and the county manager has expressed concern for our most important resource, our employees. These deputy constables risk it every day and deserve the same concern. In conclusion, this issue was born in a staff error in not knowing the true metrics that constables should be judged by, and there is evidence that it should be adjusted to reflect the agency's all-performing civil process and law enforcement duties in Bexar County. The measure should be the same. Staff is unelected and will not make this decision. You are the elected officials will. 15,000 plus folks who acted to contact you have said any cuts are unacceptable, and they will hold the decision makers accountable for these results. You cannot create the dumpster fire and then act as a hero on a poorly executed solution. It will take a bolder move to kill this proposal not only for this year, but until the effects of the disaster no longer affects our community's daily life. We are here to help in that effort to make the right decision. We, the constables, our staffs, and our community that supports us are prepared for any decision you make, and will hold you in either high esteem or hold you accountable for the action you take today in our community during this one-of-a-kind natural disaster. It is your decision to cower to the BLM sentiment or shine as the visionary leaders our community expects. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate looking forward to your decision.
Thank you.